Hello guys, today I'll be talking about bands that sound similar to each other, and we got 3 comparisons here, and basically I'll just be giving my general thoughts on these comparisons, whether I agree or disagree or think they're fair or understanding and all that. But keep in mind, these are just my personal opinions. You don't have to agree with them, but feel free to let me know your thoughts on these comparisons in the comment section below. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into it. The first one here is definitely a big one, especially in terms of modern times, that being Greta Van Fleet and Led Zeppelin. Definitely an obvious one, and honestly a comparison I can probably agree with and definitely understand because, and this is just my personal opinion, I think Greta Van Fleet hasn't really done enough to break away from sounding like a Led Zeppelin ripoff or sound like a clone, however you want to put it. Now, I mean, of course, I can tell the difference between a Led Zeppelin song and a Greta Van Fleet song, probably because I've listened to Led Zeppelin long enough to know whether whether a song is Greta Van Fleet or Led Zeppelin. But anyways, with Greta Van Fleet, it's not just the vocals, it's not just the guitar player, it's really the whole package. The whole band sounds like Led Zeppelin. And when it comes to the vocals, I've heard the mention of Geddy Lee from Rush, and I can kind of hear it, especially when he goes for those higher notes, but you can definitely hear a lot of Robert Plant in the Greta Van Fleet singer's voice. Sorry, forgive me, I don't know the guy's name, but I know there's some brothers in the band too. I could be wrong. But then you have the guitar player, and it basically sounds like he's been studying Jimmy Page's riffs. And yeah, for me, I think the Led Zeppelin influence, you could say, is a bit too obvious, and hopefully one day they'll break out of it and hopefully come into their own, unique sound. But as of now, I think the comparisons are definitely fair and understandable, and honestly, I pretty much agree with them. Now, do I think Greta Van Fleet is bad? Do I think their music is bad? No, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, these guys seem like talented musicians. I definitely think that, but again, it's one of those things where why listen to this band when you can listen to this band instead? It's kind of one of these things for me. And I know someone might say, why not listen to both? But honestly, I feel like Led Zeppelin offers musically much more than Greta Van Fleet. But of course, Greta Van Fleet, they haven't been around long enough, so there is that too. You can make that argument. But yeah, again, Greta Van Fleet and Led Zeppelin, definitely a comparison I can definitely understand. But the next one we got here is Flymore and Korn. Now, Flymore is a new metal band from Russia, and they didn't really last very long. I think they only had 2 albums or an album and an EP or something like that. But, I mean, they're not a very well-known band. I don't know if you can consider them underground. I don't know. But, I mean, I've heard a handful of their songs. I want to say, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 of their songs. And the Korn influence and the Korn sound is definitely there. I mean, especially if you look up one of their songs like Nothing Personal or No One, No More, if I got the song titles right. I mean, just from at least the bass work, from especially the vocals definitely sound a lot like Jonathan Davis. And yeah, not a whole lot to say here, but this is a comparison that I definitely wanted to mention, and definitely curious of what people will say about it if they check out the Flymore songs that I mentioned here. But yeah, definitely a comparison that I can understand, and definitely a comparison I can agree with. But next we have Godsmack and Alice in Chains. This is the final comparison here for this video, and this is a comparison that I've seen for a while. I mean, especially if I remember correctly, during the earlier days of Godsmack, this was a comparison that was mentioned a lot, especially with some research that I've looked into. It sounds like this is a comparison that's been going on for a little bit, especially again during those early days of Godsmack. And I'll be honest, I can kind of hear it a little bit, but in my opinion, I feel like Godsmack has done enough to break away from sounding like an Alice in Chains ripoff. Now, when it comes to similarities, I could definitely hear it in a Godsmack song like Going Down. I think that song definitely has some Alice in Chains vibes for sure, especially with the verses. And same with the song Trippin', specifically the verses. You can definitely hear Sully Erna definitely channeling Lane Staley a little bit in there. You can definitely hear Lane Staley a little bit, but yeah. I mean, Musically, when it comes to like the guitar work and bass and all that, I don't hear Alice in Chains a whole lot. I hear it more in the vocals rather than the guitar work. But also with Solar Earner, you can also hear James Hetfield a little bit in there too also. But yeah, there are select songs from Godsmack where musically you can definitely hear Alice in Chains a little bit. But again, I feel like Godsmack, especially at this point, has done enough to break away from sounding like a ripoff. But again, that's just my personal opinion. But yeah, and now when it comes to which band I prefer, of course, I'm team Alice in Chains, but I do like Godsmack too. I like both bands, but Alice in Chains, I mean, come on, it's Alice in Chains. I mean, especially when you have albums like Facelift and Dirt, both excellent albums and some of the best albums when it comes to grunge. But yeah, I mean, and of course, Godsmack's great too. Faceless is probably my favorite album by them. Their later work is honestly just okay to me. Not terrible, just okay. When it comes to the modern work, 1000 Horsepower is probably my favorite. At least when it comes from I guess the 2010s and on, you could say. But yeah, this is a comparison I could definitely understand. Would I disagree? Honestly, I'm still not sure, but it is a comparison I can understand. But again, I feel like Godsmack has done enough to not sound like a ripoff. But anyways, those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts on what I said here. Do you agree or disagree with these comparisons? Do you think there are fair comparisons too? And all that good stuff. But anyways, thanks for watching. Leave a comment and a like, subscribe. Have a nice day and take care.